Start. So, good afternoon, good morning, good evening from wherever you are joining us from. I know I can see my friend Buki from America. Thanks for joining. Thank you so much. Thank you to all who have joined from Pampas Private School. We're expecting some more people. Yes, she's in Orlando, Florida. There she is. Thanks for joining. My name is Flora Coker. I am the founder of Encapsulate Healthcare Solution, an organization I set up to try and help improve health awareness among our people in Nigeria, but then other people in Africa started joining. So this is Own Your Health. That's the name of the program. It's a public health awareness program. It's free for now to inform you about health topics that affect you so that you can make better choices about your health for yourself and your family and friends and colleagues. So what you learn, you can share so that we have the truth, the facts of health out there, not, all these chain messages we tend to see on WhatsApp. So this is why we're here. This is why we do what we do. This is the third year now, and we're getting better and stronger. And so we are so pleased to have you here. We have a great lineup for you today. So just sit back and relax. As Bumi said, if you have a friend who should be here, maybe that friend that's always disturbing you about health questions, they should be here. They still have time to join. All right, so invite them and they can jump on. All righty. So just a bit of housekeeping. Everyone will be on mute. If you have a question, please pop them in the chat and start the question with a Q, capital Q. That is, so it makes it easier for us to identify your question. So please do that if you have any questions during the presentation. We will also, I will also be giving certificate of attendance for those who would like to have that, but I'll give more information about that at the end of the program. So without further ado, we're going to go to our first speaker today. His name is Dr. Lucia Gorbachev. He's a GP. He's a medical doctor with over 35 years experience in Nigeria and the UK. So over to you, Dr. Obafemi. If you would unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you very much, Flora. Thank you everyone for coming. Wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Segun Obafemi. Today we'll be talking about health prevention, things that you can do as an individual to help to improve your health status, to make your life a lot better. I'm not asking for perfection, but we are trying to say how you can best optimize your health. And that in itself will improve your quality of life. And that is the whole purpose of this, is to improve the quality of your life, to make you the best you can be health-wise. Because when you are in the good health, you are not only an asset to yourself, but you are an asset to the community where you live or where you serve. So with that, I want to thank Flora again for inviting me. I don't take this lightly. Thank you very much. And for those who have taken their time to join, to come to this webinar, thank you very much for attending. Thank you very much. So I'm going to start by the definition of health. This was something by which WHO first coined in 1948. And it was very simple for us to know what health means, because when you say you want to do health prevention, you have to know what it is you are trying to achieve. So I'm going to start with that definition. It says, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So that means health encapsulates so much: physical, mental, and social well-being, not just absence of illness or disease like malaria, diabetes, but it is everything. Is a holistic way of living. Now, before we go on, I want you to be clear about something. Your health is your wealth. Your health is your wealth. Now, this is the thing. Even if you are the richest man on earth, you cannot buy your health. You can get the best doctor, you can get the best pharmacist, you can get the best medicine, but you cannot buy your health. So what you do with your health becomes what you get out of it. And so we have to look at it. Healthy living is prevention. Healthy living is prevention, and healthy living, not health prevention, is also a lifestyle. And it's a lifestyle, not an event, not something you just do once and then forget about it. It's something that you do consistently. You do it day in, day out, so as to be able to get a good result. Your good result lies in that your consistency. Your ability to succeed depends on you doing that thing, that prevention, that healthy lifestyle that you live day in, day out, day in, day out. And that will lead you to achieve a good and a successful result. And that then comes in that when you set your goals and your achievement, there's a root called discipline. And that discipline is the ability to continue doing this even when it's convenient. So that means you do it day in, day out, day in, day out. And every time, that means you have to be persistent, And so when you make those decisions, because decisions determine destinies. So when you make that decisions, you have to follow it up. There's no point knowing something and not acting on it. So your choices in life has consequences. Sometimes they are inadvertent consequences. Because you are not aware of those inadvertent consequences does not mean those consequences will not happen. They will happen. So when you actually act on what you are doing, then you will get the result. It might be slow and steady, but there will be result. There will be something to show for it at the end of it. So in a way, health is a function of nature and nurture. Health is a function of nature and nurture. If you say, what do I mean by that? Nature in the sense that genetics. When you were born from a man and a woman. So you inherited their genes. When you inherit their genes, that means you inherit some good stuff from them and some not so good from them. So that means that you might inherit some genes that makes you predispose you to some illness or some diseases, or makes you vulnerable. But that's not the end of the story. Because within that gene itself, you can do things within nature, within nurture, which is your environment, that can either make that genetic predisposition to be reduced or to be accentuated. So just saying because I have this nature and you want to forget the nurture, both work hand in hand, both work together. And when you do that, you are able to modify something that you already have. It's not about what you don't have, it's what you have, and using it to the best of your ability. You don't have a say on your nature, but you can modify your nurture. You can respond to your environment, and that also helps you to know what to do and how to do it. Now, before we go on, we have to also understand some things that if you think the cost of good diet or healthy living is very high, I want you to look at it that the cost of hypertension, the cost of diabetes, the cost of stroke, the cost of heart attack, the cost of kidney failure, the cost of blindness is probably much more expensive. And so in a way, you have to look at it and say prevention is better than cure. No matter the cost or whatever you are putting in for your prevention, is a lot cheaper than the cost you are going to pay if the illness or the infirmity arises. So In a way, when you are doing the prevention, you are trying to prevent it from happening. Even if it happens, you are trying to make sure it's of a mild type so that you can manage successfully and have a good healthcare outcomes. I don't know whether I'm making any sense to you. So good health in itself is central to your handling, how you handle stress and living a more active, longer, more productive life. It increases your ability of your body to adapt to new threats and infirmity. So in a way, our health is a product of our life choices. Our health is a product of our life choices. So your health is a resource that supports you as an individual and also makes you function in a wider society. And in itself, it's not an end result, it's a means of your getting to where you need to be. So what are the components of health? We have the physical, the mental, the social well-being. Now there's other things that I want to include in that, the spiritual, emotional, and financial health. Now, the thing about the last three I mentioned, what they do for you, when you have a good financial health, it makes you to be less stressful. You worry less. When you have a spiritual and good emotional and spiritual health, you tend to achieve more. You are a lot calmer. You achieve your purpose, and those three things play into your mental health, because then you are able to handle mostly what life throws at you, and you are able to really adapt or embrace whatever life throws at you. So all in all these 6 components contribute to our overall health. And when we have that, we have a lot of things going well for us. So I'm going to talk about the physical health. In terms of this physical health, you are looking out for 1, good nutrition, good diet, regular exercise, adequate rest. All these 3 contribute to a good health. So when you have all these, it doesn't mean you are not going to be ill, but once you have good diet and you are exercising regularly and you have adequate rest, it allows you to be able to function properly, to adapt to things that could easily come your way. And that way you are able to adjust to then have a better outcome, whatever the illness is. There are things that you need to avoid when it comes to this physical health. One of them is smoking, either tobacco or cannabis or whatever. Excessive alcohol, illegal drugs. We know issues of life happen. People use those things either because they are emotionally stressed or they are in a lot of hassle, and that's the only way that they can relax. But the thing is that when you use those things to relax, you are being penny wise and pound foolish, because at the end of the day, in life, you either pay or play. When you take the drugs or alcohol or the cigarette to relax yourself, you are playing. You are going to pay later. But when you don't use those things and you pay now and you play later, either way you are going to pay. So in a way, when you use those things to relax yourself, to get by, there is a penalty for it. It might not be now, but it will come in later at some point in time. So physical health, because of that, we know that physical health works in tandem together with mental health. And so just having good physical health with a poor mental health will affect your physical health. So mental health itself is as important as the physical health, and it relates to the emotional, social, and psychological well-being. And so when you understand that good mental health is not only about absence of anxiety or depression, but it's also, and it depends on your ability. It depends on your ability to enjoy life, to bounce back after difficult experiences in life, to adapt to adversity, because those are things that will impact on your mental health, to balance different elements of life, either as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, for family, finances, everything. As a man, to be able to provide for your family, to be able to juggle your work life, people say work-life balance, to be able to juggle everything together and still be able to function, to still be able to excel in whatever you are doing, is important. And also, there are some things that also, which is also important in the mental health, is to feel secure and safe. Now, there's a lot of insecurity, not only in Nigeria, but other parts of the world, where even if you have good health, if you have good physical health, if you don't feel safe and secure, that will impact on your mental health. And so however, you have to understand that not everything you have a say on. You can only do your own bit. And hopefully when you do your bit, the bit that you have control over, other things will fall into place. So physical health and mental health have connections. Let me give you an example. So it's like when people have chronic illness, and maybe chronic obstructive liver disease or diabetes or hypertension, it does affect their mental health. And average, look, let's be honest with that. Nobody wants to take medications for anything. Everybody wants to be healthy and not have to take medication. But in real life, that is not going to happen. And even some people will have incurable illnesses. And that is a major impact on that person's mental health. Because when you know that nothing you do will make any difference, it impacts you seriously. And so we need to then understand that people who have a long-term illness, one has to look after their own mental health. To see it this way, I might have diabetes, but the diabetes does not define me. And so it's a question of saying that this diabetes or hypertension is just part of my life, part of the chapter of my life. So, like I said, health is dependent on various factors, the genetic factor, the environmental, and some of them trigger one another. So what I'm going to do is for us to look at our health prevention from organ perspective. That is, if we look at it from our head to toe. So that way, we will try as much as possible to go through as many organ parts as possible so that you can understand where you are coming from. The first one I'm going to say is the eye. The eye, you see, as you get older, when you get to 40, you start finding that you either need glasses to read. Now, for some of us that are trying to prevent from using the glasses, you just find that your hands are getting longer and longer, and your neck, you are twisting your neck and your lung to be able to see the small print. So you need to have eye test done. But one of the benefits of the eye test also, it checks the pressure in your eye, because when you have excessively raised intraocular pressure, that causes an illness called glaucoma. It's better to discover it early and treat that increased pressure in your eye, because if it's not, it causes a permanent damage, which leads to blindness. And those damage are irreversible. So it is important for you to at least have your eye test as an adult at least every 2 years. However, if you have someone in your family, maybe your mother, your dad, your sister, your brother, or your uncle who suffers from glaucoma, it is advisable for you to tell your optician or your optometrist that I have a family history of glaucoma. And as such, you probably will be told to come every year, one, to check the pressure, so that if the pressure is raised, they can easily start treatment as soon as is possible. Then the eye check is also important for some patients, especially those who are diabetic. We call it retinal screening, diabetic retinal screening, which is done annually. Obviously, there will be in some countries that is not available, but at least you can see your optician. The purpose of that is that if any damage is noticed while you are being screened, then you can be signposted to appropriate ophthalmologist who can slow down the rate of the damage to your eyes, to try as much as possible to prevent or to avoid blindness. The next one I want to talk about, which sometimes we tend to ignore, is the oral health hygiene. You see, if you have a good oral health hygiene, it prevents so many problems, because a bad oral hygiene will lead to heart disease, cancer in the mouth, and also diabetes. So a poor oral hygiene, especially for those who smoke excessive alcohol, smoking is bad news, no matter where you look at it, because it not only damages your heart and your lungs and increase your risk of having stroke or heart attack or black cancer of the bladder, it also increases the chances of having cancer in your mouth. So wherever so it is important for you to seek help to be able to get off the smoking. If you are in UK, you need to just go to a smoking cessation program or contact your GP, the practice nurse. If you're in Nigeria, your best bet would be to see your helpful pharmacist, and I think probably Mrs. Lawa will be talking more about that. And so, because of that, if you with poor oral hygiene, there's increased chance of having hypertension, hardening of arteries, bone loss, blood loss, and inflammation of the blood vessels. So as small as the mouth is, it's a gateway to so many things. So if you can work on that, you are doing a great job in terms of your health prevention. The next one I'm going to talk about is your ear. Now, your ear is about, as you get older, let's be honest, as you get older, your hearing decreases. But it tends to be maybe from the age of 60 or thereabout. However, if you have been exposing your ears to very loud noise, now in these days it's going to be through earpiece, playing music, that is not a good idea, because once the damage is done, they are irreversible. Although you can, at some point in time, you can then go and see an audiologist and you can have hearing aid, but it won't be as good as the real thing. So one take-home message in terms of exposure to noise is, one, reduce your exposure to loud noise, and make sure that helps you over a long period. Okay, the next one I'm going to be talking about is your lungs. Now, with the lungs is what you use in breathing. That is what brings oxygen into your body, that helps you with your metabolism in your body. However, there are things that we do that causes damage to the lungs. One is smoking, and which I know on this platform, as we are talking, I'm sure there will be some people who smoke. Now, don't think anyone is trying to have a dig at you. It's just for you to have a comprehensive view. I mean, obviously, you have to make choices, and as long as you have capacity, you are entitled to make your own choice. However, it is important for you to recognize that once the damage is done, it's not reversible. But if you stop smoking, no matter how long you have, although it will not change the damage that has already been done, however, it will slow down the rate of progression of the damage that's already happened. So that, in a way, in itself, is good news. And the good news also, when you stop smoking, within 72 hours, your sense of smell will improve. Those good food that you couldn't taste very well, you will get to taste them and you appreciate good food better. And also, as time goes on, you will notice that your breathing, your hair starter will improve and things will go well with you. Now, there is another thing that could easily cause without you smoking. That is exposure to biofuel fumes. For some of us who grew up in the village, you notice that our parents used to cook with woods and all and this smoke. That in itself also is dangerous. So when people are using woods to cook, it should be in an open space so that they are not having to inhale those fumes. Those fumes are as damaging as smoking. So that's why you find out that someone who has never smoked before will have problems with their lungs, either from damage as if they have been smokers. So it is important to, if you are using biofuel either to cook or anywhere, to make sure that place is well ventilated. Now, there are things also you can do to improve your lung function, especially one of the things that I have learned is that maybe once in a while do steam inhalation. Steaming inhalation also improves your lung function and your lung health. Regular exercise and eating good foods, especially the anti-inflammatory foods like garlic, turmeric, and things like that, they do help. And I'm not saying you should go and consume them in bucket load, but as you eat in small proportion, and all of them will do add up to help you in terms of your health. The next one is your heart. The heart is an organ that sustains you. It pumps the blood throughout your body. And that's one of the organs from the day you were conceived to the day you leave the planet Earth, we keep on pumping, we keep on working, whether you are sleeping, you are awake. So we have to look after this heart, because if you don't look after your heart will not look after you. But if you look after your heart, it will do everything possible to help you to live a good and a quality life. What are the things that you can do to improve the condition of your heart? One is to make sure you have your blood pressure checked regularly, because high blood pressure increases and causes damage to the heart, either by way of heart failure, where the heart is pumping in a poor fashion, or you could have a heart attack or damage to the vessels of the heart. And so there are things you could do. Make sure you get your blood pressure done regularly, regular exercise, eat less of salt, and make sure you eat good diet. Decrease the saturated fat you eat and decrease the amount of sugar you are eating. So you eat plenty of fruits, vegetables, grains, and healthy weight is also important. And keep sugar and cholesterol to the lowest possible, so that you are helping yourself. The next organ I'm going to be talking about is the stomach. So the stomach is where you store your food when it comes in. But there are things that you could do for your stomach to make it to make life easy for you. and also there are things that you need to avoid. However, there are some of them that are unavoidable. However, these are the things I would say you should try as much as possible. Excessive alcohol consumption, excessive use of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, things like ibuprofen, naproxen, Atrotec, meloxicam. However, I'm aware some of us will have to take those medications because of their conditions. But when you are taking those medications, speak to your pharmacist or to your doctor for them to know that whether they need to give you something that will protect your stomach to reduce your chances of inflammation. And also, and I'm sure Mrs. Lawa will be talking about this, please do not try and avoid cocktail of medication, because I've seen people who will take ibuprofen, they would take meloxicam from a friend who would say, and also naproxen, Atrotec. They are in the same family. You do not get any benefit taking all of them together. You only get all the side effects, not the benefit, because only one of them will do the benefit and they will have a cumulative side effect. So in a way, do not mix alcohol and medication, and reduce the amount of alcohol you consume. So you have to understand that alcohol consumption in itself is not only about the quantity, is the total amount you are drinking in a week. For the ladies, we say about 14 units, for the men, 21 units. However, do not drink more than 4 units at a sitting. If you drink more than 6 units at a sitting, that will be called binge drinking. That has more damage than you just drinking regularly on a daily basis. Then the next one is the liver. The liver is what also helps in breaking down your food. So how can you improve your liver health? One is balanced diet, exercise, because the bigger you are in terms of weight, the more you are more likely to have fatty deposit in your liver. So a balanced diet, exercise, healthy weight, and use alcohol responsibly, because once those damages are caused, they are irreversible. And now, the fourth purpose is to advise, avoid taking illicit drugs. And if for any reason you dabble into that, avoid contaminated needles, because do not share needles with other people, because that increases your chances of having hepatitis, HIV, and so that in itself is bad news in itself. So if you are on drugs, do not share needles with people, because you don't know what they have. And if they have hepatitis or HIV, that will be passed on to you without you realizing it. The next organ I want to talk about is pancreas. Pancreas is just beneath the liver, and pancreas produces enzyme that digest food. So pancreas is needed in digesting your food. It maintains your blood sugar and after you have eaten. So pancreas is very good. So pancreas is still needed to eat appropriate diet, not to eat foods that are to avoid junk foods, but it will still work, because if your pancreas is damaged, then your chances of developing diabetes are quite high, because within the pancreas it secretes so many enzymes, and also it's also the organ that produces insulin and glucagon. Those two hormones regulate your blood sugar. So ways to protect, to look after your pancreas is reduce your alcohol consumption, because excessive alcohol consumption damages your pancreas. Other things that could easily damage the pancreas is gallstones, which is forming the liver, which could be due to alcohol, other medical problems, trauma, high cholesterol, food. damages your cholesterol. So when you eat high protein diet, you are improving the health of your pancreas. And so you eat less animal fats and eat food, avoid food which are high glycemic index food, a high, medium, like this. So if you eat more of low glycemic index food, that will be a good thing for your pancreatic and even for your body health. So one of the things you can easily do, glycemic index foods. If you Google after this webinar, Google glycemic index food, then we have high, medium, and low. The one that is beneficial to you most is low glycemic index food. The high and medium ones are not your friend. So in a way, low glycemic index food, if you indulge that, you have been doing something wonderful in terms of your diet. The next organ I'm going to be talking about is the kidney. Kidney removes the waste and toxin from your body and also removes excess water, which makes you then produce urine. And also one of the benefits of the kidney is that it produces hormones called erythropoietin, which helps in the production of red cells. And also is the final process of active vitamin D. So when the sun touches your skin, it produces vitamin D1. It then takes it from there to the liver to produce vitamin D2. The active metabolite of vitamin D is produced by the kidney. So the vitamin D3, which is the active metabolite, the kidney has the final say on it. So when you look after your kidney, and when you do that, you not only look after yourself in terms of your bone health, you are also about your muscles, your energy level. So you need that to make sure that you are doing everything right. What are the things, illness that can easily cause it, that can easily damage your kidney? Diabetes is one, hypertension is one, and exposure to high doses of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. And also there's an elephant in the room in terms of all these concoctions that we drink, which we don't, which causes a lot of kidney damage. They have the nephrotoxic ability, and once that damage is done, you end up having to need dialysis. And if you are in a country like Nigeria, most of the African countries where access to dialysis is virtually nil, then it's best to prevent this problem from arising in itself. So that way, that makes things a lot easier for you. Now, the next aspect I'm going to be talking about is your bowels. Your bowels in itself absorb nutrients, fluids from the food that we eat and drink. And also your bowels evacuate the waste. So whatever you are eating and drinking, after all things has been processed, whatever is left, it's evacuated. So part of the things to do to help your bowel health is to make sure you drink adequate amount of fluids, good old water. Although it's not only water alone you can drink, but that in itself, it flushes, it improves your ability of your bowels to function, because the body will always absorb water because they need it, and it will get it anywhere it can. So if you are not drinking adequate amount of fluids, the body will take the fluids from the bowels, and as such, you will end up being constipated. And that will make sure that will then mean that when you open your bowels, when you go to the toilet, your poo will be very hard, and you might find yourself you don't go to the toilet regularly. Another thing that you could do to improve your bowel health is to make sure you eat an adequate amount of fruit and vegetables. Increase the amount of fiber in your diet. So when you increase the fiber in your diet, that will allow you and help you to make sure that you open your bowels regularly, and they are soft, and they are not hard, and you open your bowels regularly. So with that, I mean, that would then makes life a lot easy for you. Now, I'm going to divert slightly because I'm aware we have a mixture of men and women. And there are some things that are peculiar to each gender, which I have not mentioned in terms of screening. I'm going to quickly go through that if that is okay. The first one I'm going to be talking about is the cervical smear, which in some countries like United States, they call it pap smear, and in Europe, they call it pap smear. In UK, the cervical smear is done between the ages of 25 to 64. From the ages of 25 to 49, you do it every 3 years. The purpose of that cervical smear is to pick up any abnormalities that could easily lead to cancer of the cervix. The purpose of cervical smear is not to detect cancer of the cervix, is to make sure things are picked up as early as possible, even before they become cancer, so that you never have to have the cancer in itself. And so when you get to the age of 50 to 54, it is done every 5 years. Now, there is something that's been very good, which was started about 10 to 15 years ago, which was, we realized that human papillomavirus has been implicated in the cause of cancer of the cervix. And in most Western countries, girls and boys, when they're about between 12 and 15 years, who have they are given a human papillomavirus vaccine. And that essence of that is to reduce the risk of these abnormal smears or eventually cancer of the cervix. And also, we are hoping that with that vaccine, there will be a decrease in the decrease in the throat cancer, the incidence of throat cancer overall. So we're looking at now that all children that were about 12, 10, 15 years ago who have had the HPV, they will have a lesser risk or lesser incidence of cancer of the cervix and cancer of the throat. So hopefully that will pan out, but that is the master plan regarding that. And we are hoping that in the next 10, 15 or 20 years, that will come across. Then the next one in terms of the ladies is mammogram. Now in United Kingdom, the mammogram service will start around the age of 50. Most ladies will be invited between the age of 50 and 53. And then every 3 years, once you have had your first mammogram. So this is offered to every woman who is registered with a GP in United Kingdom. I know in different countries, they have different programs, and it's about how to pick up one early cancer of the breast so that it could be treated, and it will be, if a cancer of the breast is picked up very early, either at stage 1, it is curable. The problem with cancer is that when it's not curable, is that most times it has been discovered at a later stage. So the mammogram in itself is a good screening program to not only detect cancer of the breast, but to pick it up at early stage where possible. For the men, the main one I'm going to talk about is the prostate, and it's PSA. Normally, one thing about cancer of the prostate is that although it's commoner in blacks, other Africans or Afro-Caribbeans, it's commoner in blacks. We don't know why, but that's the nature of it. However, technically, they want you to start your PSA by the age of 50. However, if you have a family history of either your dad, your uncle, or your brother have had cancer of the prostate, or your granddad, it's best to start at an earlier age of 40 or 45 to start doing your PSA. So in a way, to be able to pick it up early so that you can be investigated properly to either diagnose whether you have it or just an enlargement of the prostate. Every man will have an enlargement of the prostate by the time you hit the age of 40. That's the nature of it. It doesn't mean you have cancer, but that's the nature. By the time you get to 40, your prostate start getting bigger. That's where you find out that normally before you can drink and sleep all night before you are 40, but by the time you are in your 40s, you find yourself that you are waking up 2 or 3 times in the night if you drink too much in the evening. And so another thing that we also have to be conversant with is that if you have a family history of someone who have a family history of cancer of the breast, cancer of the ovaries, and cancer of the prostate, there's a possibility that you might have in that family a predisposition to these cancers. So it might be a good idea to go and do a genetic screening, but it doesn't always happen. However, if that happens in your family, it will be advisable for you or the family to go and do a genetic screening so that they can pick up whether there's a genetic predisposition. Although there's nothing that could be done in terms of whether you are going to develop, but you can make a conscious decision. Some people who, I don't know whether you remember Angela Jolie, who had BRCA gene. That means that she has a high risk of developing cancer of the breast, and she decided that she wants to go and do mastectomy, and that's removal of the breast, and then have a breast augmentation to prevent or to reduce her risk of having cancer of the breast. And so in a way, this prevention makes it easy for you to make a decision as to what that needs to be done, what you need to do as regarding to your health. And so in a way, we have to understand that when you put the prevention into place, prevention is better than cure. There are things you can easily do, which is regular exercise, good diet, make sure you adequately hydrate yourself and increase the fiber, no smoking, manage your alcohol responsibly. And you'll be surprised that all these things will add up to put you in good health. Thank you very much. I hope I have not managed to put all of you to sleep. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Obafemi. We have questions coming in, but we'll take them later. If you have questions, please pop them in the chat and start your question with the letter Q so that we can easily spot your question. We will come to the questions in a minute. Because of time, I want to go straight to our next speaker. I think she's here with us, but while I look for her, I'll just say hello and welcome again to everyone who's just joined us. Okay, she's put on her video so I can see her now. Welcome to everyone who's just joined us. Where were you? But anyway, good to still have you here. So I'm going to hand over to Mrs. Lawal, Mrs. Folashade Lawal. She is a pharmacist extraordinaire. She will not like me saying that, but it's true. Great heart, great mind, great supporter, great destiny helper. She's been a pharmacist for over 30 years. She has her pharmacy in Festac in Lagos, Nigeria, called Victory Drugs. Mrs. Lawal, this is the famous Mrs. Lawal I'm always talking to. Me. Over to you.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. Permit me to share my slides.
Yes, you should be able to now.
Okay. Thank you. So we'll be looking at medication checkup. Since we're looking at living healthy, preventing problems with our health, and thanks to Dr. Obafemi for a great job done. He has talked extensively about keeping healthy. And I heard him say repeatedly, responsible alcohol intake. Well, the much I know about alcohol, if we can leave it completely better, because it's been implicated in some cancers. So if we can leave it completely, better for us. Now to my topic, we want to look at medication checkup. And I'm sure people will be wondering, what do I mean by medication checkup? Just like he said, we need to check our bodies from time to time to know how we are. The same way, we should have a checkup on whatever medications we are using. Please, let's know that anything other than food that we put in our mouth, maybe it is herbal, you can call it supplements, whatsoever it is, they are still regarded as medications. Anything that can alter the way our body functions that we put in our mouth, it's a form of medication. So when we are talking of medication checkup, we are looking in totality of what we put in our mouth. So just as you need medical checkup, you also need medication checkup. Many of us take a lot of medications, supplements, herbal, some not, most of them not prescribed by doctors. Many times we don't even know what those things do to our bodies, and we just pop them in. Now let's tell people, once you put a tablet or whatever medicine in your mouth, what you have just done is you have submitted the leadership of your body to that thing. So because you cannot determine what it will do, it decides what it will do, it decides which part of your body is going into. And that's why we must use medication responsibly. We must be sure before we put it in our mouth. So why do we need to do medication checkup? Medication checkup, sorry, this thing is blocking me. Medication checkup saves costs. There are many things we take that we don't need. So why do we waste our money on what we do not need? Some of them are even counterproductive to our bodies. And so when we take drugs, medications, or whatever we call them, supplements, to our pharmacist, the pharmacist is able to help us sort them out. Then we are able to identify and solve any problems that arise from your medication. Sometimes the problems you are facing may be from your medication. I recall some years ago, an elderly woman brought her drugs to me, and she was hypertensive, diabetic. She had her regular drugs, but people, her children from abroad were sending all sorts of drugs to her, and among the drugs were the class of drugs that doctor called NSAIDs, that's these analgesics. And I also saw that she was also using something for ulcer. So it was obvious that whatever that drug was irritating her tummy, and she didn't know what was irritating her tummy. She kept bombarding herself with all sorts, and at the end of the day, she had managed to get the body into more trouble than she was trying to solve. So it helps us to know where the problem is and how to resolve it. If it's a medication that must be used and is giving us certain problems, then we look at what that problem is. What can we use to mitigate it? We look for it and solve it. If it's a medication that we don't need and is giving problems, then we remove it. Because why do you want to subject your body to torture if you can avoid it? Then it also reduces the chance of medication errors. A lot of errors occur because some people take medications the wrong way. So when we do a medication checkup, we're able to know. For example, I had this patient many years ago that was taking a particular drug, and instead of getting better, she was not getting better. They kept increasing her dose. And one day she just said to me, she said, "I don't know why they keep increasing my dose." Then I sat her down and I asked her, "How were you taking?" She was taking that drug anytime she liked. Meanwhile, that drug had to be taken at least 30 minutes before meal. It was not just any meal before breakfast, because it's influenced by food. So you get as little as probably 20 to 40% absorption when you take it after food. So that was why it was not doing the work that it should do. and they kept increasing the dose for her. So that's an error, for example. And the error can even be more grievous than that. So when you bring your medications to the pharmacist to look at for you, then we are able to help you reduce the chances of errors. We are also able to help you ensure that you are taking the right medication the right way, because it's important that you take the right medication the right way, the right length of time. For example, antibiotics, we all know that right now the whole world is contending with antimicrobial resistance. Those organisms, they don't want to die, they are fighting back. And one of the ways by which they are able to fight is when we subject them to either the wrong antibiotic or overuse of antibiotics, or when we use antibiotics and we don't use it the proper way. For example, if we are told to use antibiotics 4 times in a day, it simply means you will divide 24 hours into 4. It means every 6 hours. If you don't do that, once you give the antibiotics opportunity to regrow, they will overcome the drug and they will regrow. So if you give them space, for example, if you decide that you want to use your own 2 times in a day, or even 4 times, but your 4 times ends probably like 6 p.m. and you still have a long time, then they can become stubborn. So it's important that your medication is taken the right way for the right length of time, through the right routes too. About the case of somebody that was given a vaginal tablet and the person swallowed it. And that's because the person didn't understand what to do with the medication. So that could be dangerous. So when you do a medication checkup, it allows the opportunity to ensure that you are taking your medications appropriately. And then it gives you clear understanding. You're able to discuss one-on-one with your pharmacist, ask questions. You have a right to know all that needs to be known about your medication. Find out, is this medication the best option for me? There are side effects that I might get from this medication. If these side effects occur, what do I do? These medications that I'm using, if I miss a dose, what do I do? Don't just take the loss into your hands, because it might be dangerous. There are some medications that if you miss the dose, you can take them at the next, immediately you remember and go on. There are some medications that you dare not, because they might be harmful. Apart from, I've also had a case some years ago of somebody, because she had difficulty swallowing, decided to grind the drug and swallow, and it killed her, because that drug was formulated in a way that it should release a little at a time over 24 hours period. When she ground it, powdered it and drank, she put everything in, and it became toxic to her. Overdose of it collapsed her heart. So when you go for medication checkup, it allows you to have very clear understanding of what to do with your medication, ask appropriate questions, and get a good grip. Like we have always said in this program, you should be at the driver's seat of your health. Nobody else should be there. Your health belongs to you. You have a right to protect your health. Your health is even more than your wealth, because you need your health to be wealthy. So who needs medication checkup? Anybody who has difficulty taking medication as prescribed, or if you have concerns about your medications, please just go for a checkup. Don't just decide to do what occurs to your mind. No, medications don't work like that, unfortunately. They have their set way that they will work. It's not like doctor said, you can make your choice, but you cannot choose the consequence of your choice, because the consequence will come naturally from that choice that you have made. So if you don't understand your medication, don't decide to say, this medicine is useless, it's not working, put it aside. You may not get to where you want to get to. Or you think that this medicine is not working, let me double the dose. You may get into trouble. Or if you have some concerns like, this medicine, I don't even know, maybe it affects me, does this, please just ask questions. Many years ago, so I recall a patient that he came with a prescription for his medication, and then he had filled that prescription in the pharmacy. He came inside to see me, and he was somebody that we had been following up on So he gave me the new prescription. I filed it. I measured his pressure and all that. Was fine. And I don't know, it just dawned on me. I said, please, sir, can I see the drugs you have with you? And when he gave them to me, they were not what was on the prescription. I was like, this is not what is your prescription. He said, please don't mind that, doctor. This is what I was using before and it was doing well. He now decided to change it. I said, doesn't work out like that though. We have to find out why the doctor changed it. So he had the old prescription that was still, the doctor had given him that prescription for like 3 months. But in between, there was a test done that showed that his kidney was now compromised. And because he now had kidney issues, drug had to change because some other the drugs he was using before would further depress the kidney and get the kidney into a worse state. So the doctor changed the prescription. And instead of asking questions, instead of trying to understand, he just made up his mind that this doctor is on his own. This is what I will use. So it was that conversation that helped us to now arrive at what to do. Because after that conversation, I called the doctor to say, the consultant to say, look, this is what is happening. Actually, he first bought a few days. When he tried them, he didn't like the effect on him. So I told the doctor, and the doctor said, okay, if he didn't like the effect, this is what we can do. Then we add a compromise. We look for something that would still not affect his kidney and was a better choice. We're able to solve it. But that's because we had a conversation around it. So if you have concerns about your medication, you need a medication checkup. Don't take the decision by yourself. Don't put the medication away just like that. Please engage the experts, and your pharmacists are trained. That is what we have gone to school to use your tax to do. Your tax was spent training us. So we are trained to help you out with your medications. Please talk with us. If you are seeing more than one doctor, that's another problem. When you are seeing more than one doctor, you are at high risk of drug interactions, overdose, because the Dr. A might not know what Dr. B has given. And I've had so many interesting cases like that. It's as bad as a patient that was given 3 different brands of the same drug by 3 different doctors that she saw. And she almost used all of them at once. If not that, we had a conversation around the drugs. I mean, she brought the drugs for us to check, and they were able to say, this drug is the same as this. So please, if you are seeing more than one doctor, you need to do a medication checkup. If you're on medications for a long time, you also need that, because sometimes you may have some issues with the medication and your body is already adapting to it. And over a period of time, that may be dangerous. It may also be that the drug needs to be, the drug itself needs to be changed, or the dose needs to be adjusted, or some problems have cropped up because of that length of time. So please, if you're on medication for a long time, you need a medication checkup. If you think that your medication is too expensive, please don't take a decision to put the medication away. There may be alternatives. I recall so many years ago too, one elderly mama, she came for a checkup. All the while we had good control with her blood pressure. But suddenly she came for a checkup and the blood pressure had really gone high. So I was like, Mama, what's happening here? She said, my doctor, let me tell you the truth. I said, what is the truth? She said the doctor changed her medication. And the new one that the doctor changed it to was 11,000 thereabouts per month. She said, I'm a pensioner. There's no way I will get that money. So what I do, instead of taking one every day, I take one every other day. And I said, Mama, it doesn't work like that. Interestingly, what the doctor did actually was to help her, because instead of her taking, the new one was 3-in-1, 3 drugs formulated into one, so that she will not be swallowing 3 drugs. So by swallowing one, that was meant to help her. But you see, the cost was an issue. So I told her, look, we can break it down and pick out these drugs one. And at the end of a month, your cost won't be more than 5,005. Still the same drug per se, but in more difficult forms to swallow. Do you mind swallowing 3 at? So what am I doing? Why cannot I swallow 3 at? That was what solved the problem. So she was happier now. 11,000, she could now spread it over 2 months and still get a better effect than what she was getting before. So please, if you consider your medication too expensive, talk with your pharmacist. Yours may even be that you can decide to give it this time, whatever we can do to help, but please don't decide to just put it aside or adjust the dose. It doesn't work out like that. Dr. Obafemi stressed it that actions have consequences. You can only make your choice. You cannot choose the consequence. Those who take many medicines, including vitamins, herbs, and over the counter, those ones really need medication checkup, because a lot of people get into trouble with all of these herbals. Any of these products that starts with G, ginkgo biloba, ginseng, ginger, garlic, they're all blood thinners. So you're already on a blood thinner and you're using all of this, you may be in trouble because you may overthin your blood. So don't think that those herbals are innocent. They're not necessarily innocent. So please, if you are on many medications, including vitamins and herbs over the counter, go for a medication checkup. Allow your pharmacist to advise you or to counsel you or to help you sort out your medications. For some, it's that the herbals will now not allow the real drugs to do their work. And then we get into different kinds of problems. Then those who have many medical conditions, because you have many medical conditions, you are likely to need so many drugs. So your pharmacist will help you to sort them out based on the kind of interactions they have. Some interactions are useful. Maybe that one will help the other one to work better, but we may need to adjust the dose. It may be that one may make the other one less available. We may need to adjust the dose. Maybe that one will do better in the morning. I mean, if we separate them, take this in the morning, take the other one at night, there will be no problem. Whatever it is, your pharmacist will be able to help you sort it out. So let me look at the next slide. So how often should you do medication checkup? At least once in 6 months, if all is well. Or it can be anytime if you have your medications changed. Anytime you have your medications changed, it's good to take those medications to your pharmacist to help you look at them. If you have concerns or worries about your medications, please don't keep quiet over them. Talk with the experts. If you are new drugs, supplements, herbs, over the cancer medicines that you are adding to your regular medicine, you need a checkup. You know, sometimes friends are very good and they are very caring. Sometimes they can be overtly caring. They might just look at you and say, hey, this condition is severe. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? They're really trying to be helpful, but it might just land you into trouble. And then what works for A does not necessarily work for B. I've had cases where a husband advised the wife to try how his own medication trouble. We got into trouble. So please, when you have new drugs, supplements, herbs over the counter to add to your regular medicines, seek counsel from the pharmacist. So, yeah, this last slide is to let you know that we do that at Victory Drugs. If you need medication checkup, you can reach out to us. Or please, you should be ready to show us everything that you take, whether they are herbals, whether they are what we call aphrodisiacs, whether they are agbo, whatever they are, as long as they are not your regular food and you put them into your mouth and swallow them, or you apply them. Sometimes it's even what you rub on your skin that is a problem. We've had cases where I've heard the story of one woman that was applying a product on her hair that did not allow her to get pregnant. Yes, I heard that story some years ago. So whatever it is, please talk with us. Let us be able to help you. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Lawal. Please stop sharing your screen.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was very informative. Okay. If you have any questions for either speaker, please, I'll just give you time to pop them in the chat before we go to questions. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. While we're waiting, I'll just give you some announcements and then we'll go to the questions. Just for your info, we have, I believe in collaboration. We collaborate with so many people, Mrs. Lawal at Victory Drugs, and we also collaborate with an organization called Vision Resource. They have a webinar coming up on Saturday, the 9th of April on the resilient entrepreneur. So if you have any entrepreneurs here, feel free, take the information on the screen. I believe Shaki is on the program. You can pop the information in the chat for everyone if they want to attend. So that's on Saturday, the 9th of April. And on the 21st of May, we'll be continuing our series on looking after you, and we'll be talking about your mental health. So that will be on the 21st of May. Save the date, note the date in your diary. Information will come in out probably sometime in April. We look forward to having you then. We'll be talking about mental health. If you have any questions specifically about mental health you want us to answer on that date, you can send us an email. The email will be posted in the chat. You can send me an email about that, and then we'll look to address that on the 21st of May. Okay. Right. Other thing, we would all appreciate your feedback about the program today. So please do fill in the feedback form. It's not very long. It helps us to know that we're on the right track. Are we doing the right thing for you? Is it meeting your needs? So please kindly do fill in the feedback form. I'm posting the link in the chat now. It won't take you long at all. Please kindly do that. And I would really appreciate that so we can serve you better. Follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and yeah, that's it, at Encapsulate Health. So now we'll go to questions. Please do take advantage of our two speakers with your questions. I will spotlight them again. Mrs. Lawal, I need your video on, please, so I can spotlight you. And then we'll start with the questions. Ikwama, any questions for us?
Yes, hi, Flora. Yes, we've got a few questions. Jumoke A has a question. Jumoke, could you put your hands up, please, so that we can unmute you to ask your question? Jumoke A. We want this to be interactive, so if you can put your hands up, we'll unmute you so you can ask your question. Can you see Jumoke? Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jumoke, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much for this informative webinar. My question was about mammograms and the age a woman should have mammograms yearly. I've heard that she should start at 40, but I thought I heard the doctors say 50. So I just want clarification on what's the best age to start having yearly mammograms, and does it depend on a woman's breast cancer risk?
Yes, thank you very much. It's dependent on the breast cancer risk. If a lady has a family history of, let's say, the mom, the grandma, or the great grandma, or the sisters or siblings all have breast cancer, you look at the age, the youngest age of the person that on that cancer list. That will give you an idea for us to have the first mammogram at least 4 or 5 years before. Let's say you have 3 or 4 members of the family. The grandma had the breast cancer at the age of 70. The mom had it at the age of 60. One of the sisters had it at the age of 45 or 50. For that lady, you have it. Let's say the sibling had it at the age of 45. At least the first mammogram will be at the age of about 40. Then after that, a decision will then be made whether to then have it yearly. But most times, once you have it, if the first one is fine, they might then decide that they would do another mammogram a year before the age of the youngest person in that family that had breast cancer. And so, however, also, although in UK it's 50, I think that is down to cost-benefit ratio. You have to understand that it's a public health program. They have to get benefit for the money, the amount of money they are putting in. So they have to then come to the answer, which time, which year, which age will be the best for us to pick up and get the benefit out of it. So that's why they have used 50 years old. I think in America, the mammogram started a lot younger. I think in the 40s rather than 50, but in UK, it is 50. Between the age of 50 and 53, once you are a lady in UK and you are registered with a GP, the letter will automatically come to you between the age of 50 and 53.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Bafemi. The next question is from Oja Oche. I'm sorry if I haven't said that right. Oja Oche, could you please put your hands up so that we can unmute you to ask your question? Thank you. Have you seen
Uja, could you unmute yourself, please? Thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for this program. Okay, my question is about detox programs. I hear a lot of times that you can go on a 3 days detox that will detox your body. I know that the liver does that already, but is it a myth?
Okay. Well, the liver in itself is an organ that does detoxification. The kidney also eliminates any toxins. Well, now, when people say they go for detox, it has many meanings. Sometimes you might find that what they meant is that they go there and they're giving a lot of fluids to drink, a lot of fruits to eat, and they eat balanced diet. They are encouraged to drink plenty of fluids and stuff like that, and that will be how the program is sold to them. And so either they will then go for walks and things like that. So the word detoxification contains a lot of things. So unless you actually know that program, you won't know what it entails. However, this is the thing, is that one of the things that you might find useful, we know that when people fast, I'm not saying for religious reasons, when you fast at least once or twice a week, it helps. It's a form of detoxification. It's a form of, but the important thing is when you are doing that, you need to drink an adequate amount of fluids and avoid sugary drinks, which is what it's all about. And so I have a feeling that with the detox, they want you to be off alcohol. They want you to be, if you smoke, they want you to stop smoking. Those are a form of detoxification, but that has been, that's my own understanding of it. I hope that answers your questions.
Okay, thank you so much. The next question is from Laluwoye Okweyemi. He's asking about sort of examples of high or low glycemic index foods. Laluwoye, I've put some links in the chat that will help with that, but I don't know if you have additional questions.
Okay. I can just quickly mention the high glycemic index food. You see, high glycemic index will have things like sweetened dairy products, all these Coke, lemonade, Fanta. Now, the Max Prep, whatever, any of this sugary stuff, they are high glycemic index food. White rice, watermelon and pineapple, white bread, those are, and also smoothies. Now, people tend to say they take smoothie for health reasons. This is the way to look at it. You will blend your fruit. The fruit are high fiber, high glycemic index food. When you blend it, you have broken it down from low glycemic to high glycemic. So smoothies you are better off eating the fruit as it is rather than blending it, because you are converting a low glycemic index food into a high glycemic index food. I hope that's answered your question.
Well, thank you.
And another thing you could also do, if you Google glycemic index food, or you Google low glycemic, medium glycemic, and high glycemic, you will see all those foods and see how and which one where you fit into those programs.
Okay, thank you so much. Laluwe has still got his hand up. Do you have further questions or?
Yes, please.
Oh, yes. Okay, go ahead, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Doc, for the answers to the question. I will kindly look up the link to check more about the foods. But please, can you speak more about care for our liver and kidney? I ask this because I'm an healthcare professional myself, and I see young people coming down with chronic kidney disease and liver disease. Could it be that people are taking so much, all this agbo? I'm sorry, I'm talking from Nigeria actually. All this mixed up that people go around, monkey tail and dress, and then all these small alcohols in labels that people take. A few days ago, I was talking to a group of farmers, and I was trying to advise them on how to reduce their alcohol intake. Could it be that all these are contributing to people coming out with all these illnesses, CKD, liver disease? You end up seeing people going for kidney dialysis all the time. So could you please speak more about it? What are the harmful effects of all this alcohol people take, all this agbo? I don't know. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, in terms of let me start with the liver. With the liver one, a lot of that is alcohol, because if you look at a lot of when I was a lot younger, we drink alcohol, and also there's also local brew, which have a high percentage alcohol. And so you might find that people will sit down and be having a chat, and they will drink quite a large amount. And if that happens on a daily basis, the damage to the kidney, to the liver is enormous. Once that happens, once you have liver cirrhosis, that is you done. So it's a question of liver transplant, which then you have to think about it. Then the question of the concussions, which are agbo, and also some of the young people are also indulging in illicit drugs. The illicit drugs will damage your kidney, will also damage your liver, and you are more likely to pick up transmissible illnesses, because then if you take legal eyes or cannabis or cocaine or heroin, you are more likely to start being vulnerable in terms of what you are going to be experimenting with. And that is that. And also, people take a cocktail of medications. They will take one from Sister Jennifer, Mommy Janet, and stuff like that. And so which case, and sometimes it's a question of those things will cause the damage. One of the things of that is the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, because people take it willy-nilly, and it has a nephrotoxic. What I mean by nephrotoxic, it damages the kidney. So a lot of that is a question of people taking all these cocktails of agbo drugs. And also very important, because like Nigeria and most African countries is a very hot, humid weather, you need to drink adequate amount of water. So you are looking at, for a woman, you are looking about 2.5 or 2.7 liters, and to a man about 3.5 liters. So the hotter your environment is, the more water you need to drink. And even if you then do exercises or do activities that makes you sweat, you need to drink more water. And so it's about medication. And also there's a high prevalence of hepatitis infection in most African countries or most developing countries. Those also causes damage to the liver and also to kidney. And hence you find that now a lot of people, younger people, more and younger people are having those problems at this rate because of all those issues. I hope that answers your questions.
Thank you very much. So next question is from Femi Akinpelu. Femi, do you want to put your hands up? So we can, Mercy, I can see your hand. We'll come to you after Femi, if that's okay. I can't see Femi. Femi, can you put your hands up, please? Femi Akinpelu.
Let's go to Mercy and then
we can go to Mercy. Okay. Go ahead, Mercy.
Good evening to everyone. I sincerely appreciate all the efforts and the contributions. Talking about this detoxification, there is this detoxifying machine whereby they put a lot of gadgets and then you place your legs inside water. I want to know if that is the right way of detoxifying.
Okay, the honest truth, I don't know what this you are talking about, so I wouldn't be able to advise you on that. But I want to assume that putting your feet in water, maybe there's something the machine will be doing, either vibrate or something like that. So I wouldn't be honest. The honest truth is I don't know. That would be the honest, because I don't know what this machine is supposed to do and what they so I won't be able to advise you on that question. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you. So we'll try Femi again. Is Femi around? Femi Akinpelu?
I don't think so, but just go ahead and ask his question.
Okay, I'll ask the question. What is the implication of using multivitamin tablets when one is on hypertensive medication? So the implication of using multivitamins when someone has hypertension and on hypertensive medication.
I mean, okay, is that for me or for Mrs. Lawal?
Most likely for me.
Mrs. Lawal.
For both of you. Mrs. Lawal, you can go ahead first.
It depends on the multivitamin. You know, some are necessary, like antioxidants might be useful to the body. The important thing is carry your healthcare professional along. You trust they don't just start taking them because others are taking them. Something like vitamin C might be useful to you. You may have reason to be placed on vitamin E too, depending on the dose. So there are some vitamins that might really be helpful, but especially if there's an identified need. But it's not enough to just prop them anyhow.
Now I will agree with Mrs. Lawal on that. Another thing to say is this: when a doctor or someone recommend a medication to you, tell them what you're already taking. Or if you want to start taking something else with that medication, ask, would this interact with my medication? Will this cause adverse effect? Because if you don't ask, you don't know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next question is from Cesar Asani. Can you please put your hands up? Cesar Asani, yes. Yeah, could you unmute yourself and ask your question, please?
I really do appreciate it. I guess my question is to the great pharmacist, Madam Fola Shadilawa. There is this medication I'm using, sorry, let me put it this way. I was prescribed it sometime back. It's called Neurovite 4. And it was prescribed along with some other painkillers. So my question is there any reason why it's not prescribed for a long period of time? Maybe to be clear, let me say the other medications were given to me to use for say about 2 weeks, while the Neurovite, I was asked to use it for I think about just 7 days, and it's 1 a day. So I was wondering, is there any reason, why it's not prescribed for that period? Because it's been prescribed twice and it's been in that sequence.
Okay, thank you for asking. Neurovite Force has a high strength of vitamin B6, and long-term use of a high strength of vitamin B6 might cause nerve damage. So your doctor may not want to put you on it for a long time.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Okay. The next question is from Tunji Ahmed. Tunji, could you put your hands up, please? He's just asking about my best soup. Where's Tunji? Yes. Unmute yourself, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Even though I came late, I almost missed it, but I thank God that I'm able to get the last part of it. Thank you so much. It's always good to be here. I was asking a question about bitter leaf. I heard from a friend that it's good to take it like every morning. I take it like 3 times a week. Is it a very good form of detox? There are other teas, bitter tea that they sell in supermarkets. It's very bitter. It's tea. You just make it like tea, and they say it's also good as a source of detox. Is it recommended? And if one can take it, how often can we take it? Thank you very much.
I think I will allow Mrs. Lawal to answer that.
Okay, that's fine. Well, generally, bitter things tone the liver, so they have their usefulness. But like you and I know, everything has to be done in moderation. Apart from that, sometimes it depends on what is in your bitter leaf in terms of contaminants, because sometimes they are grown where they have taken in a lot of these heavy metals that can be damaging. Outside of that, bitter leaf tones the liver. So, and it's a normal food that we eat. So you can eat it, you can have it, but there must be moderation with it. However, if you have some medical conditions or you're on medications, it's good to check out first, because sometimes you may have interaction with your medications or interaction with your condition.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Lawal. Please keep the questions coming. If anyone else wants to ask a question, please put your hands up so that we can unmute you.
All right, while we're waiting for that, I just wanted Dr. Bafemi and Mrs. Lawal to touch on the subject of salt in the diet in relation to hypertension, and also again to emphasize the importance of taking the prescribed medication for any chronic condition that they may be on, because I have heard cases where people just they slumped, they died, and then they found out that they had hypertension, and either they didn't know or they did know and were not taking the medication as prescribed. So if we could just emphasize that, because we've said it earlier that hypertension is very prevalent within the Black population, and the effect of salt also it has a marked effect in Black people.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yes, that is right. That is true. And the thing about the salt is that they've got salt in so many things that we use on a daily basis. Most food that we eat, bread has salt, biscuit, cakes, salt. And other things that contains a lot of salt. All these Maggi cube, Knorr cubes has a high salt content. So you need to be very mindful of that. And also, if you are partial to Chinese food, they has a lot of glutamate, which also has a high salt content product. So if you look at it, that is salt in itself. If you eat a lot of salt, it increases your risk or your history of having high blood pressure, or makes your blood pressure management more challenging. So that is important for you to actually look at your salt intake. And also the beauty of what you can do with your salt intake is that even when you reduce your salt intake and the food doesn't taste as much as you like, if you persevere within 2 or 3 weeks of you at that level of that salt intake, your taste bud will adapt. Nobody is born with any amount of how much salt you take. It's something that we acquired on planet Earth. So just like if you normally put sugar in your tea and you stop putting sugar in the tea, The first few days or first week of you drinking the tea might taste bitter. But after about 10 days or 21 days, you get used to it. So in a way, a high salt content food is bad news. Does that answer the question? I'm not quite sure.
Yes, yes. And then I want us to talk about sugar and the use of honey.
Okay. The same thing happens with sugar too. Now, a lot of us drink a lot of sugary drinks. We talk of Coke, Pepsi, Fanta, malt. Those are very high. So like if you drink a bottle of Coke, the 500 mils, you are probably taking about 10 or 12 cubes of sugar. You will not crush 10 cubes of sugar in the water and want to drink it, but it's a thing that you have been conditioned to see it as in terms of marketing by the producers. So you need to be mindful of that. And also, if you are diabetic, the only diabetic drink on planet Earth is water. So do not go to anywhere to say they will tell you this is a diabetic drink. The only diabetic drink on planet Earth is water. Any other thing is a marketing ploy. Full stop, no comma, no semicolon. So be aware of that. The only diabetic drink is water. Thank you.
So you can tweet that if you're on Twitter. The only diabetic drink on earth is water. Ikom, I think there's a question in the chat just popped up.
Yes.
Any more questions?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and also, so there's, I've just seen the question. It says, can you take sweeteners? Sweeteners is not a natural sugar, is a no-no. So if you have the sweetener in your cupboard at home, just go and open your bin and throw them into the bin.
Why?
Because, you see, it causes more damage. The sweetener is an artificial something. Your body does not break it down. It causes you more problems over the long. So please, in fact, I would rather you can still use honey rather than sweetener. Sweetener, sugar. In fact, if you are diabetic, don't even touch sweetener. Don't even touch sugar.
There we go.
Yes. Yes, we've got another question. Adeshola Legemo. Sorry if I'm not saying this right, but yes, that question's just come up now. Do you want to unmute yourself, please?
Adeshola, I've asked you to unmute.
Adeshola, yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for this program. I've learned a lot. And my question is, since a lot of all these fruits also have high natural sugar, are they advisable to take them? If yes, fine. But if no, what kind of fruit? I love to take fruits every day. I do more of pineapple and pawpaw, then maybe apple, but I love to take fruits every day. So do you have any recommended fruits that is okay? Then when it comes to sugar, is stevia okay? Stevia or honey? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, the natural fruits are okay, but another thing, however, there are some fruits that are what we call high glycemic index fruits. Things like watermelon is high glycemic index fruit. Pineapple is high glycemic index fruit. But if you go and Google low glycemic index fruit, or medium or high, it will tell you which fruits are in that category. Now, the good news is that if you just eat the watermelon from time to time, look, I'm not a joy killer. If you enjoy it once in a while, but don't overindulge. Okay. So like everything in life, if you overindulge, but if you have a certain condition like diabetes, then you and watermelon are not friends. So you have to be aware of that. But fruits which are low glycemic index are pineapple, blueberries, raspberries. Those are things, pear, apple, and so those are low glycemic index fruit which you can eat. So you can still eat fruit. Carrots belong to that low glycemic index fruit. What else? Did you ask? Is there any another question that you added? I can't remember again.
Okay, I asked about sweetener. There's what they call stevia and honey.
Okay, well, you can still, honey you can use, but sweetener, the answer is no. No.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Okay, before we go to Tunji, I think he had his hand raised up. Mrs. Lawa wanted to comment.
Yeah, please permit me to lend my voice to the hypertension medicine saga. My experience over the years is that many people on chronic conditions or management, especially conditions like hypertension that does not stop, they try to do mathematics with their medication. They imagine that if they were taking 10 milligrams of amlodipine, for instance, and their BP dropped from 150 to 140 over 1 week, then they had better stop, because that means that in the next 1 week, it will drop to 130 and then it will keep dropping 10 every week. But it doesn't work like that. Mm-hmm. So sometimes that is what informs that decision to stop. Some other people, they just will take that medication until the BP is normal. And then when it's normal, they are happy that it's now normal. They imagine that they are cured, and then they go off their medication, and they may be normal for quite a while, but the day it would create a problem, there may be no warning. So that is why it's important to ask questions. It's important to understand that condition. It's important to know what the drug really is doing. Your antihypertensive, its role is to get your BP to the targets that the doctor desires and keep it. So is the drug, number of drugs and the dose that gets it to the normal that your doctor is likely to leave you on to keep it normal. So we do not do mathematics with these drugs. It's not that two men did one work in 3 days, so one man would do it. No, that doesn't apply here. So it's important for us to look at that properly. Sometimes, so one of the answers I've gotten from some of my patients, they're like, we just want to know what will happen if we skip this medication for a while. But it's not good to want to know what will happen when you skip it for a while, because finding out may get into trouble. So we need to understand that there are regulators in the body normally to regulate your blood pressure to a normal level. Now that regulatory mechanism has a problem, and it's now the drugs that are taking over. So if you stop your drugs, you have a very high chance that there's nothing that will regulate your blood pressure. And I always liken it to, you build your house, you don't put a fence around it, and you are living in Nigeria. Then that's where I live, that's why I know, that's where I can talk about. Then we are already inviting thieves, inviting robbers, anything can come into your house. So you need to fence your house so that you are protected. So what your drugs are doing, they are protecting you. They are ensuring that your blood pressure does not get out of control. However, if you have concerns, if you think that your blood pressure is dropping too low, please talk with your healthcare professional so that they can look at the medication, because there's no one cap fits all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Lawal. Tunji, you've got your hands up. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, please?
Thank you very much. Sorry, I want guidance on the use of banana as a sweetener.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, banana is you can use banana. In fact, ripe banana you can use it. It's better than sugar, and because it's going to be absorbed slowly, so you can use banana as sweetener. It's better than sugar, hands down.
Thank you. I've got another one from Oluyemisi Victor Adedoku. Do you want to put your hands up so you can unmute and ask your question? Oluyemisi. No, I can't see.
Yeah, just ask.
Okay, I'll just ask the question. Can one take date to sweeten pap, sir? So she wants to know if she can use dates as a sweetener.
You can use date because date is a natural fruit and it's sweet. So yeah, in fact, the beauty of sometimes some people have advocated that even if you put date in water and leave it overnight, and you can then drink the water and it helps. So yeah, date is quite good. Yes, but not that you make a smoothie out of it.
Yes.
No more smoothies.
Okay, we've got Kemi Aso Muyide. I think your question is for Mrs. Lawal. Do you want to unmute yourself, please, Kemi?
Yes, thank you very much for a lovely webinar. My question definitely is for Mrs. Lawal, because some people don't take medication, but they take a lot of supplements and they take vitamins, like vitamins, minerals. Do they still have to do medication checks as well?
Mrs. Lawal, yeah.
Yeah, it depends really. If they have any medical condition, it's better they do. If they don't have and they are taking too many, anything can be too many, even food, even water can be too many. So it's still good to get guidance. So for them, we won't say every 6 months they must do medication checkup, but they can see their pharmacist to sort them out so that they are not overdosing, overloading their bodies with supplements. Supplements can be counterproductive when used excessively.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. We haven't got any more questions, Flora. Over to you.
Okay. Okay, last chance for questions. Before I say gone, any more questions or comments if you want to contribute anything? Or there's some myth you've heard about health and you want to just clarify like we've done today? This is the time to ask while we have our 2 healthcare professionals here. All right. Titilola, go ahead. You can unmute yourself. Yeah.
Okay, yes. Thank you so much. I came late. I'm sorry, I'm guilty. Notwithstanding, I met some things and I'm really, I've been enlightened to kind of. I just want to ask, no any underlying diseases, no form of diagnosis for maybe diabetes and what have you, but if someone is above 40, what kind of supplement or a kind of diet you can recommend for somebody at that age? Because I from what actually attracted me to this program is that, above 40 now you need to know about what to do and know what to do. I know I came late. I'm sorry about that. Just maybe a piece of advice for us to maintain a balanced diet or a kind of supplement we should start incorporating now when you are above 40. Thank you.
I mean, okay, I think it's the watchword is balanced diet. In itself, it's about to make sure you are eating appropriate balance of your protein, your carbohydrates, and also the nature of your carbohydrate and the nature of the food you are eating, so that you are making sure it's balanced diet. Now, my own golden rule in terms of diet sometimes is to look at it using your hand. If you look at it, see, you don't need to use any other person's hand. Can you all see my hand?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you look at it and say protein, the face of your palm, and that protein, whether fish or meat, should not be thicker than your little finger. Your carbohydrate, no more than the clench of your fist. Yes, can you see so your hand is different from mine. Other people's, yes. And also, and in that plate itself, half of that plate, let's say this is the whole, half of that plate should be vegetables and grains. In fact, most times you don't even need to take any supplement by the time you do that, or provided you cook it properly, because sometimes as Africans, we tend to overcook food. That is important for you to understand. So that And earlier, I forgot to add, I don't know whether that's possible to, I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, go on.
Earlier, I was talking about screening, the breast screening. And I'm aware that mammogram might not be available in some countries, but you can be your own self-screening. So that as a woman, you examine your breast regularly, at least once a month. That way you are able to pick, once you'll be conversant with your breast, so that when anything is abnormal, you are the first person to be aware of it. So if where you don't have access to mammogram, you need to stand in front of a mirror, divide the breast into 4 parts, and start with the palm of your hand and just rub it gently and firmly and all over to pick up any abnormality. Either you feel a lump, or either when you stand in front of a mirror, you raise your hand. If you find that your nipple is going in when it wasn't before, or you notice a change in the color of the texture of your skin around your breast, see a healthcare professional. Or if you notice any discharge or bloody or brown discharge from your nipple, these are things that you can easily pick up and you can see someone about. Because if you don't have access to mammogram or is beyond your reach in terms of cost, then that is something that you can do. And also, another thing that I forgot to mention earlier is regular exercise. 30 minutes of brisk exercise or 150 minutes per week. And that is very helpful for you. Brisk walk, you will notice I didn't ask you to go and join a gym, because I know most people that join gym, 80% or 90% don't go to the gym. They just join and then they may show up once in a year and they don't have time. But if you can build brisk walk 30 minutes a day or 150 minutes in a week, you'll be doing a good thing. Thank you.
Oh, we've got one question in the chat from Bumi Moses. Bumi, can you please raise your hand so that you can unmute yourself? Bumi Moses.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
I have a question. I was wondering what kind of African snack do you recommend that would be healthy for us to snack on? And you said something about honey. How much honey should we put to like a cup of tea that is recommended? Thank you.
I have a question. Are you diabetic?
Well, in terms of snack, it's been a long time. I'm not quite sure which snack I will mention, but if you snack on fruit, that is good. If you snack on apple, which you can easily get, pear, what else? Banana, those are things you can snack. Every other thing, if you have to be very careful because of the high sugar content of them. And so, those are things. And the beauty of apple, pear, or all those low glycemic index fruit is that they fill your tummy, and that way you are not hungry. You are not peckish and picking food. So don't go doing crepes, all this high sugar stuff. No. Healthy snacking, but be very careful also.
She also wanted to know how much honey to put in a cup of tea.
Well, your best bet is probably start with 1 teaspoon or half a teaspoon will probably be okay, but don't overdo it. So it's just, you are trying to just sort of encourage your tea. So a little amount is fine. Half a teaspoon will be fine. But that is to your taste. I mean, I can't determine your taste, but that would be reasonable.
Okay, thank you. Veronica, I can see, yes. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question,
yes,
please?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, I want to ask, just like you had shown us the amount of, what was the examples? Using your fingers, your hands, your feet to show us the amount of all the stuff that we can consume. Can you kind of do that regarding the herbal intakes and the veggie intakes that we take, especially now in this pandemic where we all take like garlic, ginger mix with all sorts? Can you tell us like the daily recommended dosage of that? Because I believe a lot of us overdose on that. Me especially, I get heartburn when I think take too much of it, just so that I know and others know how much is okay for everyday use.
Okay, I'll leave that to Mrs. Lawa, but I have a feeling that no one will be able to tell you how much is enough or how much is too much. But the honest truth that you will know when you are doing OTT. So, but nobody, the honest truth, maybe with this COVID pandemic, maybe someone is going to then go and look at research and do a research and see what is too much. Because before this pandemic, a lot of these things were not in vogue, or people were just doing it in small bits. But now, yeah, but be very, very careful. You need moderation in everything in life. But maybe Mrs. Lawa will be able to tell you more about that.
Okay, sorry, she had to leave, so she's not here at the moment, but I will put the question to her and send you an email about that, Veronica, as well, to see if she has anything to add to that. Or does anyone else, any other healthcare professional want to add to that before I call your name? Ikoma?
Were you asking about the different portions of vegetables and things like that to have a day? Is that what you wanted to know?
No, she's talking about garlic and ginger and the herbal stuff.
A lot of this information, if you check things like the British Heart Foundation, they have all this information on diets and sort of the different amounts of different things that you can have. So if you look online, as long as you're on a reputable site, you should be able to get information on the range. Like Dr. Bafemi said, we probably can't give specifics, but at least you get a range and then you can start from there. So there's a lot of information. Just make sure it's a reputable
yeah,
site.
so Veronica, you're in the States, so possibly the American Heart Foundation, or if there's an American nutrition organization that is official, then you should be able to get information on that. It's quite difficult with herbal stuff on the quantities to say this is the amount, that is the amount to take. But if you're already having heartburn, that's already an indication for you to stop, as you said. That's already an indication possibly for you to stop or to reduce the amount slowly. Okay, any other questions or comments?
I have got a comment from Olariwaju about nuts. Olariwaju, do you want to unmute yourself? Olariwaju Oladipo, or raise your hand, I'm sorry, raise your hand so that we can find him. Yeah.
And ask him to unmute if he's still here. If not, we'll just answer it anyway.
Okay. Okay, I think
so there he is. Okay.
Well, I just wanted to make a comment about the nuts, snacks. I heard that it's healthy, but like the doctor said, that things are, if you have too much of it, it's not good. That's what I wanted to say about nuts and snacks.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Adekunle, Adekunle, you just posted a comment in the chat. Could you raise your hand so that you can share that with everyone in a bit more detail? Adekunle, if you raise your hand, please. And let's discuss what your comment. Adekunle Famunyo, I think, if that's how you pronounce it. Sorry. There you go. All right. Okay, you can unmute yourself.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, concerning the meeting was so impactful about the snacking and the mixtures. They are not so healthy. So it's better one get ginger fresh at the market. When you want to boil your meat or marinate your fish, you can add it to it with little olive oil, which is healthy. than drinking those mixtures. What you take in is preferable than those mixtures, because some people add another things to it, which is not written. The ingredients is not all that they are written on the back of the products. So it's better get it fresh and we cook it and we eat, and we don't overcook too. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you
very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, I think I'll back what she's saying, because some of those products are going to put some preservative in it.
Yes, to make it stay long.
So sometimes some of those preservative will have effect, because most times they don't expect you to use that large quantity that you are using when you are trying to mix up. So that's the nature of it.
Yes, they can get ginger, grate it, and store it in the fridge, so it can be used anytime.
Thank you.
How long will you store it for? How long can you store it for?
Due to light, because in Africa now, you cannot say you can store something for a long period because of problem in shortage of power. So if you put something in the fridge, maybe they took like some things can, something can get easily spoiled. So it's better maybe a week, the one you are going to use, the freshness is going to be there. But if you have a stable light to power your fridge, it can stay there 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So you can be adding it to your veggies, your steamed carrots, your chicken. So which is very, very okay.
Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Tunji?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, I want clarification on the expiration of water. I understand that the bottled water, pure water that we buy has expiring dates, meaning that some of them are not supposed to be in the sun for a long time. And the process of transporting to the market, stay in the market for a while, you yourself, you bought it and keep it in the house. Yeah, you will have lost some of the minerals in the water. So I understand that maybe we should not keep water, this bottled water that we buy for too long. Although I don't know how long you can keep it. Just some clarification on bottled water.
Okay, this is the thing. Water on its own, like a water coming from the tap, you can leave it. Water from the tap will have no expiry date, but there's a caveat to that. If the water is in a glass cup or a glass bottle. However, if it's in a plastic bottle like this or something like that, it has expiry date, because there is interaction between the light or the sun with the water. Hence, that is the situation. But if it's in a glass cup or a glass bottle, then there's no expiry date. But if it's in a plastic bottle or a plastic cup or a plastic sachet, there is an expiry date. I don't know whether that answers your question.
Tunji, you can unmute.
Okay, yeah, no, it's partially it answered the question, but apart from sometimes you see the bottled water we buy, I don't think most of them has expiring date written, except that one. But
that is down to those each countries. That is down to that country, their policy and their health and safety measures they have in place. That is down to that. But it also depends on the climate or the weather of which country you are talking about. So that's the nature of it. So it's about the standards that each country sets for their food and drinks.
So yeah, someone said even if the bottle is BPA free, if the plastic bottle is BPA free, is it still the same caution?
I would still caution if it's anything that is plastic.
Okay. Any more questions or comments?
Not in the chat, no, Flora.
Okay, anyone else? Anybody? Okay, well, I'll let Dr. Obafemi go in that case. If then, did I just see one? No, we've answered that one. Okay, yes, all right. So if there are no more questions, no more comments, then we will end it there today. Thank you so much to everyone who have attended. Please do kindly, fill in the feedback form. It's very short and it's very quick. Don't forget the 21st of May. Oh, somebody's raised their hand. Every time I want to finish, you raise your hand. Okay, go ahead. You don't want Dr. Obafemi to go. Adekunle, go on. Adekunle, Famiyo, you just raised your hand? Or is that in error?
It might be an old one.
All right, that's fine. Okay, so please complete the feedback link. Don't forget our next webinar is on the 21st of May. We're talking about your mental health, part 1. Please complete the feedback link. Please follow us on social media, like and subscribe, like they always say. And we will bid you a good evening and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And next time you attend our webinar, please come with a friend or two and do share. Thank you very, very much. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, doctor.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Thank
Have
you.
a very good evening, what is left of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you,
Thank you.
doctor.
Good night.
Thank you,
Bye.
doctor. Good night.